Okay, I'm going to do the lifestyle balance pie, which is an ACT skill in smart recovery. This is also taken from an exercise from Julia Cameron's book called The Artist's Way, which is a 12-step approach to creativity and spirituality. Smart recovery is based on a 4-point program. Point 1 is building and maintaining motivation. Point 2 is coping with urges. Point 3 is managing thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Point 4 is living a balanced life. That's the point that we're going to focus on today. And ideally, you would do this skill after doing your Hierarchy of Values worksheet, which you can find on smartrecovery.org. So, living a balanced life has a nice sound to it, doesn't it? A meaningful life is one that is in balance, one in which adequate time is given to the activities that express your values and priorities. No matter what those values may be, many of us do not live our life in balance or in a manner that consistently sustains the things we value most. It's important to note that achieving a balanced lifestyle is just like the other points in the 4-point program. There's no magic involved, and it takes some time to work to accomplish. Many of the other SMART tools can be helpful and utilized in your quest to achieving and living a balanced life. The SMART tools aren't just to develop recovery skills. There are many who refer to them as being life skills. This can be used for anyone, not just people in recovery. So here is the balanced lifestyle pie, or wheel, as I like to call it. I want you to start by filling out the outer ring of the pie, the crust, if you will, of each slice with 8 life categories. And these life categories should be based on your values from your Hierarchy of Values worksheet. Now, I went ahead and took the liberty of filling out some popular, common ones. And I'm going to go ahead and show you what I did. Marriage, spirituality, work, creativity, physical health, relaxation and leisure, friends, and service. Now, each one of these is an area of my life or anyone's life. And notice how each one can have subcategories. For example, physical health. Well, what physical health means to one person might mean something completely different to another person. For me, that might mean exercising daily, but for someone else, that might mean taking your medication every day or showing up to your doctor's appointments. So you want this to be as personal to you as possible. And if you're not married, don't write marriage. If you're not in a relationship, don't write relationship. You want to make this yours. Next, I want you to rate yourself. So on each slice, there's a scale from 0 to 10. 0 is at the center, and 10 is at the very outside. So I want you to reflect on how do you feel that you're doing in each of your life categories. How satisfied are you in each slice of your pie? I want you to mark a dot on the scale from 0 to 10. 0 meaning I'm not satisfied at all, and 10 is I feel completely fulfilled in that aspect of my life. So this is how I did it. And I want you to be honest with yourself. This is for you. There's no impressing anyone. There's no inflating scores or pushing them further down and being hard on yourself. How do you feel that you're doing in each of these categories? Take your time to fill this out. For the final step is I want you to connect each dot. So I want you to make lines from one category to the next, and it's helpful if you kind of curve them around so that you get more of a smooth transition. And I went ahead and filled out the rest of this. Now, they call this the lifestyle balance pie, but I like to think of it as a wheel with spokes. If you have a bicycle wheel with only one or two spokes, that's going to be a really unstable and wobbly wheel. And the more spokes you get in your wheel, the more stable the wheel. However, if you cram, say, 10 spokes in your wheel and every other spoke is high and low and high and low, that's going to be a really bumpy ride. So, the goal of this exercise is to reflect non judgmentally on how your ride is currently. Now, I want you to look at this wheel I did. What do you notice about this wheel? Is it balanced? Is it bumpy? Is it maybe a little bit of both? That's totally fine. I think most of us find that there's highs and there's lows. We can have areas of our lives that are maxed out, 10 out of 10, completely satisfied, very happy, no problem. And we can also have areas that are zeros or really low scores. I want you to notice the area of this pie that's work, creativity, and physical health. Notice how those are pretty high scores and they have a nice curve to them. While work is up there at a 9 and physical health is more of a 7, they still have a nice round shape to it. So that side of the wheel, when it touches the ground, is going to be a pretty smooth ride for the rider. We can also have areas that are zeros or very low scores. It's important to know that there might not be a whole lot that we can do to change a certain category right now. We may be unable to change certain things. In this case, it's important to gain some acceptance of our situation and some forgiveness for ourselves. However, when we reflect deeply, we find that for most categories, there are some committed actions we can take to improve our score, no matter how small. Now, I want you to ask yourself the following question. How balanced is my life? What does my ride look like, basically? Is it smooth? Is it bumpy? Do I have really high highs and really low lows? Are there any areas I want to put more effort into? Is there any category that's calling out that you've been meaning to get to? And this exercise is going to prompt you to do that. Are there any areas I could put less effort into? Is there anything I'm spending a ton of time and energy in that I'm already pretty satisfied with and that I can afford to spend less time on? How much of my time is spent caring for others or for myself? Are fears or discomforts keeping me from doing something? What is one small committed action I can take to balance out my life more? Now, I like that last one, number 5. Are there any fears or discomforts that are keeping me from doing something? I think that's really central in this. When we find that there's something that we're not doing, when we could spend more time on doing it, usually after reflecting on it, it's because there's something uncomfortable there. It's because there's some fear there, or there's some internal experience that we find displeasing. Now, the goal of this exercise is to not to get all of your spokes up to a 10. I don't think that's realistic or even possible. And if anyone says that they're all 10s all around, I just don't believe them. I think that the goal is to get a smoother ride. And that means by, reallocating some of the time and energy you have on those 10s possibly into some of the areas that are pretty low. So next part of the exercise, I want you to set a goal and write a plan. To nurture the neglected areas of your life, you will need to make time for them. Focusing on the less tended areas will take some getting used to. We tend to focus on those 10s for a reason. Either they're comfortable or we're good at it, or it's just our job and we have to show up to work and do it. You know, I also want you to go with your gut when choosing that one thing that stands out and is calling for more attention. You know what it is when you wrote it down and you saw how low it was. Make a plan with specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time limited goals. So don't say, I just want to do more of that thing, whatever it is, more marriage. How do you know? How do you measure that? That's very general. Um, and when do you want to do it by? Make it time limited. Set a date. Today I want to do 10 push ups, whatever that is. Get support. Making changes isn't easy. Instead of struggling alone, get all of the outside help and support that you can. We get by with a little help from our friends. Or sometimes it's good to seek out professional help too. Finally, have fun. If the work you start to put into balancing your life feels burdensome, back off a bit. While change is usually pretty difficult, it shouldn't be overbearing. You're doing this work to become healthy and feel more whole, not to add more chores to your life. So seek out the fun in all of your efforts. Have a good time with new experiences. As your life becomes more balanced and well rounded, the healthier and happier it'll be. And then the change won't be so hard anymore. It'll just become second nature and fun. So enjoy it.